Into episode 2 of the Dodger Dan Show. It is Friday, November 8th. I'm going to talk a little Dodgers baseball. Got a fun little wacky segment at the end of this where I'm going to talk about the tightness of some of these Dodgers players' pants. It's getting out of control. I don't understand what's going on with these uniforms, but somebody's got to figure this out for me. I'm not complaining about it. I just want to point out 5 of the tightest pants that we have on the Dodgers roster. Now, free agency continues to burn. Last night we got probably a rumor, but not Shohei. Juan Soto is apparently potentially getting that $700 million from the Mets, which from the beginning, I've said that I thought that that number was a negotiating ploy. It is just a starting point. In any negotiation, you start with a number. One side throws out a number, the other side counters. You never throw out the number that you would be happy with settling with. You throw out a number that, if you got it, would be great. If they say no, you kind of expect that, and that's a good negotiation. So for all of you who are hating on me saying that Juan Soto is not worth that, I understand that. I understand that Juan Soto is not inherently worth the same amount as an elite hitter / elite pitcher like Shohei Ohtani is. He is a one of one. He should have a one of one contract. But it is the job of an agent to try and get as much money possible for their client. And for them, they decided we're going to throw out the $700 million number, the one that matches Shohei Ohtani, and sees who bites, because that's what they're supposed to do. So, as many of you noted, that money could be used by the Dodgers in a plethora of different ways that doesn't include Juan Soto. I think the reality is we wouldn't necessarily have had to only get Soto and then not get out other free agents. I don't think that was the case. But in any case, if the Mets are going to meet that number, nobody else is going to meet that number, and they're going to win the bidding war for Juan Soto. But I think in general, my point stands. I always view that number as a negotiation starting point. Juan Soto is one of the greatest hitters of his generation and is worth figuring out what we have with him if we were to grab him. And that at the end of the day, the Dodgers have to continue to evolve. And that's where I'm going to start today. This idea of if it's not broken, why fix it? And a lot of people have commented on this on my TikTok, pretty much saying that we have such a good team. We just won the World Series. Why would we not re-sign all of our players that we just had that won it? And, I think that in general, that's not a good way to think about long-term health of the team. When you over-optimize for the short term, I think you make bad decisions that end up biting you in the butt. The reason why the Dodgers have been so good for so long is that they continue to build up the farm system, continue to make really smart bets, either in trading players early or bringing them up and giving them a chance. And that doesn't happen unless you're thinking both for the short term and the long term. And I think right now, a lot of Dodgers fans, again, understandably, this feels truly like a world championship that is setting us up for kind of years to come of continued success. But I understand the desire to bring back everybody that was already on the roster. Just re-sign everybody because we won. We're the best team. But baseball is a really weird sport where it doesn't work like basketball. In basketball, I would tend to agree, like maintain that 2 or 3 championship window where all the players are probably not going to age too quickly and you probably improve on the margins here and there. But baseball is a much more random sport than basketball. There's a little bit more of a repeatable nature to basketball that I don't think exists in baseball, where even series to series, the more dominant team can lose in a series because baseball is full of variances. And I think the way to mitigate that is that you continue to give yourself the statistically best chance to win, and that includes bringing in the best players you possibly can. And I know it doesn't sound good to Dodgers fans. I know I'm a little bit of the bad guy in this scenario because I seem like I'm implying that I don't want Kiki Hernandez back or Teoscar Hernandez back, but the reality is that I would love them back at the right number. But given that there are a lot of really good free agents out there, I do think it is incumbent upon the Dodgers to try and pursue some of them and see if they can improve the roster, such as at shortstop, where, yes, Tommy Edman is fantastic, but there are better potential options for an everyday shortstop where we wouldn't have to platoon. The platooning worked this year. It is not the way that I think we want to necessarily play out every season. Now, during the season, I can see it happening just to give people rest, but in the postseason, I think we want all of our players to be in their spots every single game. There are going to be some lefty-righty matchup dependent starts here and there, but overall, I don't think that's the desire of the team to operate in that way. And so, again, I know it doesn't sound good for Dodgers fans. I know it sounds like I'm being a little bit callous, but I am one of those evolve or die people. We have to continue to improve the roster, not just on the margins, but even in areas where you think there might be some core pieces there. And that means sometimes getting rid of some of the fan favorites. And again, it doesn't make me feel good to say that, but I just do think that is part of the process of building a sustainable championship running team. So we'll see what happens. I think the current news says that Juan Soto probably not going to end up with the Dodgers. We have Willy Adames as one of our big targets right now. And so we'll see what happens with that. I can see him probably being signed to the Dodgers, and going to talk a little bit about why I think that might be a mistake. And other than that, the Max Fried noise is always going to be there. Most recently, yesterday, I think we had some Garrett Crochet. I'm going to adjust this real quick. Some Garrett Crochet news as far as the Dodgers continuing their pursuit of him. Yes, he was the pitcher that we were trying to get during the trade deadline that did not work out. So we'll see what happens this time. I think he would be a great get. I think he's younger than Fried as well, so it could be a little bit more of a sustainable long-term answer, less risk. But we'll see what happens with that. Willy Adames. Now, he seems to be the top trade target for the Dodgers. Excuse me. He seems to be the top free agent target for the Dodgers. And I don't know how I feel about that. Again, I think I've talked about this a lot on my TikTok. But one, him coming off his best offensive season this year is not a position that I like the Dodgers to be in, because you're essentially buying the asset at its peak. Now, how much does his negative defensive stats affect that? I think that's where I have a lot of hesitancy, and maybe it nets out to a pretty fair contract then. But with a player that's coming off his best offensive season, I think that gives me pause, because he's had many years to show who he is. And then the 1 year that seems a little bit like an outlier, you put in big money on him. I think that's something that feels like a bad move. And then defensively, there are two metrics that I kind of look at to measure defensive effectiveness. You have DRS, defensive runs saved, and then I think the OAA, outs above average. Now, outs above average is one that I think is a better way to measure outfielders versus infielders, and so DRS is what I look like and what I look at. And he had a negative 16 defensive run save this year. This includes missed balls, plays that he couldn't quite turn into a double play, things of that nature. And even in an article that a Milwaukee Brewer, I think journalist or columnist, wrote in August, was saying how Adames' defense has fallen off. And that does give me a lot of pause, because I don't think this Dodgers team needs more offense. I think we need to shore up defensively. And him being on a downtrend defensively does not make me feel good. Even the Mets are offering him a contract, 6 years, $170 million to play third base. And I don't think he wants to move to third base. He said he's willing to move positions, but I don't think that's his preference. And so already there you see that other teams have qualms about that defensive position. Now, granted, the Mets have Francisco Lindor, so it's probably one of those situations where they're not going to move their MVP off of his spot. But the fact that they're looking at Adames and wanting to get him and having him move positions, I think speaks to, one, the talent that he is, definitely a talent, no question about it. But two, how they are offering to see him. They're offering to see if he would move positions. And I think that's somewhere the Dodgers might not be in a place of where we do need an everyday shortstop. And I think that's where we might run into some trouble, where, again, offensively, I don't think we need to be too worried about anything. But defensively, I think is where, yeah, I feel like we have some shortcomings, and I would love to be more solid there. That being said, the candidates that are out there are not particularly, MVP level players. I personally do think Kim Ha-sung would be a fantastic choice for the Dodgers. Defensively, much more solid. Offensively, yeah, not great, but I think he could fit in very well with this lineup. I do think that anybody in this lineup has a chance to be really, really good, and that's where I do have a lot of confidence that anyone who comes in would be able to succeed if you put him behind a Teoscar, Max Muncy, not to mention Shohei Mookie, Freddie at the top. So we'll see what happens with that. I am monitoring kind of everyone who is available, and there might be some trade opportunities that we're not thinking of. We're looking at purely free agents right now, but if there's a trade opportunity, maybe we'll move in that direction as well. So we'll see. But as of now, it looks like Willy Adames is that player that the Dodgers are targeting. And I do want to land on this, that I do trust Andrew Friedman ultimately. He is someone who I think just really knows baseball well. He's been pretty much spot on with every personnel decision he's made. Even letting go of Miguel Vargas at the time, something that I was regretful of, because I do like our young players and want to see them kind of come up within our system. But who he got back from that trade directly, I mean, very directly led us to winning the championship. So can't question that. The Jack Flaherty pickup. Say what you want about him in Game 5 of the NLCS and Game 5 of the World Series, but in those Game 1s he stepped up. He was fantastic and really kept us solid there as far as our rotation throughout the latter half of the season when we just had so many injuries. And then just across the diamond, you see what Andrew Friedman has done, the bullpen arms that he's found. Anthony Banda was out of the league almost. Traded with the Cleveland Guardians, got him. So I trust him. At the end of the day, if he thinks Willy Adames is the right choice, who am I to question that? But just from looking at the numbers, just from doing a little bit of a gut check, that's how I feel about that. And we'll see what happens. I'm sure it'll all work out for the Dodgers. But as of now, there is no guarantee. He does have a big offer from the Mets. Apparently he has a similar offer from the Dodgers, but the details haven't come out yet. So we'll see what happens. But we'd love to know what you all think about that as well. So that's all the news for today. Obviously, this weekend may have a lot of stuff come out. Owners' meetings are still happening. So we'll see if there's any outcome from that affects anything with the Dodgers. For this last kind of bit, having some fun on a Friday, I did want to talk a little bit about the tightness of the pants of the Dodgers. We have some players that have some really tight pants, and I don't know if it's a size smaller or if it's a different fit that these players wear, but it's egregious. Some of these guys, it's egregious. So I'm going to go through my top 5 tightest pantsed Dodgers. Let me know if I missed anybody. Let me know if you guys like it. Let me know what you guys think. Starting at number 5, it is our boy Kike Hernandez. He's cheeked up. I don't know, right here. I don't know what's going on with him, but this is egregious, man. This is egregious. Just stretching like this, very inappropriate. But it works for him. I'm guessing it helps him run. Maybe he doesn't like if there's too much material hanging off the side of his leg. It's just uncomfortable. But we got Kike Hernandez at number 5. Number 4, Gavin Lux. Gavin Lux. Sir, what is going on here? What are you doing? Right in front of the camera. Like, this is very inappropriate as well. This is a children's sport. Got a lot of children watching this game. We don't need this, man. Like, I could just see your hamstring muscles. Like, what's going on, man? But again, maybe it's these fast running guys that need just as tight of pants as possible. Like, this really looks like a pair of Lululemon leggings, man. I don't really know what's going on here. But Gavin Lux, congratulations. You're number 4 on the tight pants scale. Now, the next 3 players are pitchers. All of these pitchers, fantastic. Love them to death. They got some real tight pants. Number 3, I have Alex Vesia. I think this is no surprise to anybody that watches Dodgers baseball, but Alex Vesia, you got some tight pants, my boy. But I'm thinking it helps you with your velocity. I think just keeping it tight probably just keeps the muscles really tight, can keep your mechanics really tight. So I'm not mad at it. I'm sure your significant other loves it as well, but I do worry sometimes that you might rip your pants. Just the aggressiveness, the way you throw the ball, it's just really, you're just coming at him. So Alex Vesia, number 3. Number 2, our favorite son, Walker Buehler. Walker Buehler has had tight pants for a very, very long time. It must be something that he feels comfortable with. You see Clayton Kershaw and then you see Walker Buehler, and it's like these guys, they're wearing different jerseys. Like Walker Buehler's got that spandex edition. I don't know what's going on with Fanatics, but I will say his jerseys have been tight since the beginning. So even with the change in supplier, it's maintained its tightness. But there is a consistency there. Alex Vesia throws heat, tight pants. Walker Buehler throws heat, very tight pants. And you got to commend his confidence. Walker Buehler is a confident man to be able to rock this kind of look in a baseball game with millions of people watching. And then number 1, I mean, if you watch Dodgers baseball, you know, Bobby Miller. Bobby Miller, my goodness, my man's pants are tight. They're very tight. There's just no way you can be breathing in these pants. And, you know, maybe there's a suggestion there. Maybe you loosen the pants up for next season. That could have been something that was getting in the way. All three of these players, they are fireball pitchers. They really throw that thing. But Bobby Miller, I love you, and I want you to be a dominant pitcher for the Los Angeles Dodgers, not for any other team, for the Dodgers. And just a suggestion, maybe it's the pants, man. Maybe there's an opportunity to where those pants are giving you some more space to breathe for the future. So we'll work it out in the summer. Call me. We can figure it out. I used to wear tight pants. I really feel like my life has improved dramatically wearing looser pants. It is more the vibe these days. Ask any Gen Zer. That's the look. So Bobby Miller, just a suggestion. But here are your top five tight pants Dodgers. Number 5, Kike. Number 4, Gavin. Number 3, Alex Vesia. Number 2, Walker Buehler. And your king, the crown, the champion, Bobby Miller. That's it for today's episode of the Dodger Dan Show. Remember to like, to subscribe, send it to your friends. This is where you want to be before the next season of the Dodgers comes around, because it's going to be the most fun place for Dodgers fans to congregate, to get together, talk Dodgers, talk shop, have fun with each other. Thanks again, y'all. Have a great weekend. I'll see y'all next week. Let's go.